Hi everyone! So this video is about the Idol finale. I really just have some things I want to say about the Idol. I almost didn't film this video because the Idol finale came out almost 2 weeks ago, but I watched it a week late because it came out during like the 4th of July weekend and I was home for it. And let me just tell you, the Idol is not a show you watch with your family. Can't say I would ever do that. I think that's actually one of the last things I would ever want to do in my whole entire life. And then I literally in the shower came up with the idea that I was like, you know, I actually have a lot of things I want to say about it, specifically the finale, but just a few things within the series. Also, my window is open. I can hear the tea screeching by, so I apologize if there's some ambiance in the background because it is 90 degrees today. So there's just a few things I want to discuss, primarily how I think that the Idol is anti-feminist. And I do think this is a bit of a claim, like it's a strong thing to call a show anti-feminist and it shouldn't be taken lightly, but I do think certain things happen in the show that qualify it, and I really want to discuss it. I love the conversations I've been having in my comment section, so I would love to continue it. I think this is such a good, interesting topic. The first thing I want to do is just give you a really brief summary about what the Idol is about. Also, I'm using a new lens. Sorry, I just thought of this. I'm using a new lens, so I'm hoping this helps with the focusing issues I've been having, so I'm hoping this goes well. But, okay, anyways, as I was saying, I want to give you a brief summary quickly about kind of the premise of the Idol. A summary of the Idol is that the Idol follows Jocelyn, who is played by the lead rose Depp, a 20-something pop star who is struggling mentally after the death of her mother. With a management team that is losing faith in her, Jocelyn enters a relationship with a crap bag named Tedros, and that is played by Abel Tesfaye, who is more known as The Weeknd, in an attempt to create a public profile that will reinstate success. However, Tedros reveals himself to be a con man cult leader whose favorite hobby is manipulation. The Idol tells an anti-feminist tale through insane quantities of nudity, which we will discuss, disdain for female agency, which we will discuss, and ask the question, what if women actually do need men to tell them what to do? Like maybe women shouldn't have autonomy. A little bit of background into the creation of the show The Idol. I'm not going to talk about everything. If you want to know more about the background and kind of the details, I recommend watching Green is Not Nick's video. I think there is a lot that happened in production and like maybe pre-production that really influenced how the show ended up. The context of making the show influences how the show has been perceived, I guess, and also the content of the show. So really brief background. A few things I just wanted to point out. So there is this article by the Rolling Stones, Sam Levinson, who is the creator of the show, as in the director, and he did writing for it as well. Sam Levinson is also known for Euphoria, so he directs Euphoria. So he's worked with HBO a lot, which The Idol is on HBO. Anyways, so Abel and Sam Levinson, they rewrote like practically everything. So originally the show, The Idol, had a female director, and it was like a much smaller budget show, and like the turnaround was really quickly, and it was just kind of like, they kind of handed her a shit bag, I guess, and they said, figure it out. Some things led to her stepping down and Sam Levinson coming on. I'm just gonna read directly from this Rolling Stone article because I think it like covers a lot of what I'm talking about really well. Now production sources tell Rolling Stone that even they are in the dark on when the show will make it to air and have little idea about what the final version will look like, claiming the production was plagued by delays, reshoots, and rewrites. It was, let's just say, a shit show, one says. The first public inkling of trouble came last April when director Amy Seimetz of The Girlfriend Experience and She Dies Tomorrow suddenly exited with roughly 80% of the 6-episode series finished. HBO addressed the news by confirming the Idol was set to have a major creative overhaul and would be adjusting the cast and crew. There was little explanation for the shakeup except for reports that Tesfaye, who is co-creator, felt the show was heading too much into a female perspective. Which it's like, it's the show of like a taken advantage female pop star and her struggles. Like, what the fuck, bro? Like, what does that even mean? It had too much of a female perspective. But I say like, what do you mean? But we do know what he means because Abel, The Weeknd, is in the show. He's a writer on it. He is an actor in it. And so if it's not about Jocelyn, played by Lily Rose Depp, then the next person it would be about is Tedros. He plays Jocelyn's love interest. He plays like this cult leader, this like leader within it who's like controlling others. It's just like who fucking cares? Like who cares about another story about this man who's manipulating people from a male perspective? Like who cares? I'm sorry, but who cares? Like that's all we've gotten, and now we're finally getting some like female perspective, and they're like, actually, nobody wants to see that. We actually want to see what men think about it, or what the men are going through, or how they control the situation. When it's like no. This is why I like really needed to talk about this, because it like is so upsetting to me how everything changed, and how they thought, like how people truly thought this is what we were going to want to see, and that this was going to get a positive reception. I just want to go into how I think the show itself is anti-feminist. So the first thing I want to talk about, and it's huge, is the narrative within the show around believing women. How they kind of twist and dirty the idea of believing women, specifically around like SA. I don't want to get this video taken down, but like assault. There's 5 episodes, I believe. So in the 4th episode, Jocelyn gets mad at Tedros for variable reasons to get back at Tedros, because Jocelyn and Tedros are dating. Jocelyn invites her ex-boyfriend Rob over, and Rob is an actor, and he's in like this new superhero blockbuster movie coming out. Tedros gets mad that Jocelyn invited Rob over, so he has like some of his people in his cult take a picture of Rob with a girl like on his lap, which he's clearly very uncomfortable about, and then they twist it. The woman who they got him to take a picture with, they say that Rob assaulted her at Jocelyn's house, which isn't true. Like, we as the viewer know it's not true. And then the last episode gets into how the media handles these allegations. They end up removing Rob from the movie, and like they said he was barely in it, and so they replace his image with a different actor or a different person. We never even see Rob in the last episode. It's all through like phone calls with Jocelyn's assistant, and it's just like creates this narrative that women are lying, that women lie to get ahead and to hurt other men. There's no resolution. Like, we never hear anything happens where they prove that Rob actually was innocent. It just ends with Rob being accused of something that isn't true, that's really damaging, something that's extremely prevalent in like our existence with like the Me Too movement and the more recent like publicization of Hollywood and how it's harmful. It just is like, it just like is creating this narrative that women are lying, that men aren't committing assaults specifically within Hollywood. And so it's like, for what? There isn't even like this huge point in it. It does lead to Jocelyn's assistant quitting. Part of it is because like Jocelyn's assistant is also her best friend, and so many things happen within the season where this just kind of seems like the last straw. So many other things could have happened that would have led to the assistant leaving like Jocelyn's house or working with Jocelyn and being Jocelyn's friend. And that's like the only outcome, really. Like, Jocelyn gets upset for like a minute about Rob getting in trouble. She gets over it super fast, and that's like the only repercussion. So it's like, what was the point of having this plot line if it wasn't just to be like, oh hey, by the way, women are liars. Did you know that women are liars? Another form of abuse within this is physical abuse, and that is between Jocelyn and her mother. So Jocelyn's mother has passed away, but it comes out, I want to say in like the 3rd or 4th episode, that I think it must be the 3rd, that Jocelyn was being abused by her mother. So her mother was hitting her with a hairbrush. This whole thing comes out where I guess like all of Jocelyn's team, like all her management, knew she was being abused, but nobody said anything, nobody did anything. I think this was like really fucking stupid, and I just didn't even like, I didn't get it. Like, maybe other people get it and I just don't. But so there's this whole thing where Jocelyn tells Tedros and the people in his cult that her mom used to hit her with a hairbrush. Okay, and so Tedros ends up also hurting Jocelyn with it because she said it used to motivate her, and that's how she made good music, and that's why she's having this roadblock, because her mom was no longer here pushing her to make good music by hurting her. And so Tedros ends up taking over that, and he ends up hurting Jocelyn in the same way her mother did. Okay, so then we find out like literally one of the last like shots, one of the last like scenes of the last final episode of the finale. Jocelyn is about to start her tour, so she's in like a green room, like getting ready. And Tedros is there. And Tedros holds up the brush, and he's looking at the brush, and he says, I thought you said this is the same brush that your mom used. And Jocelyn says, yeah, I did say that. And Tedros says, this brush is brand new. And Jocelyn just kind of like looks over her shoulder at him, and like, I think she like smirks a little bit, and that's kind of like it. That's like the end of it. And then it's like implied that Jocelyn was like manipulating Tedros, but that doesn't make any sense, because then why did she say that everyone knew her mom was abusing her and nobody said anything? So like that's like, doesn't make sense to me. How it could be a new brush and she can be lying, but yet everybody knew. So it's like, are you saying she manipulated everybody for years that her mom wasn't actually doing it? But that doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? It's like, people thought that for a reason. There's so many scenes where Jocelyn's like brushing her hair really, really aggressively, and her hair is like pretty thin. There's like some where she's like looking really longly at the brush, and these are all completely alone. So So it's like, why would she be having these like afflictions, these feelings towards the brush alone if it wasn't true? Like, again, it makes it look like women are liars. Like Jocelyn was like lying about being hurt, or she's being manipulative. So part of that too is in episode 4, Tedros and Jocelyn like break up. Like she finally gets mad at him because she finds out that he kind of manipulated Jocelyn into meeting. She found out that Tedros and Jocelyn meeting wasn't chance and that he planned it basically, and that he was already kind of with another girl, and she gets mad, so they break up. And then they're like broken up for a while. End of the final episode, she invites Tedros back and she is like in love with him again, and she's like, oh my god, I missed you, it's not the same without you. And it just is like, it's completely out of character. Like to me, honestly, it's bad writing. Like it's just so out of nowhere. It doesn't seem in line with Jocelyn's personality at all. And like, what is the story? I get like the thing of like victims going back to their abusers. That I totally understand if I thought that was the reason the storyline happened, but I don't. Particularly because they're saying that Jocelyn was the one who's manipulating Tedros with the whole hairbrush thing. So it's like, why? Like, what was the point of her having to be like, oh, it's not the same without this man telling me what to do? Because trust me, the whole season, he's telling her what to do, and it's sexual, and it's manipulative, and it's public. It's like publicly sexually manipulative. Then I just wanted to like throw in like a few other things that I think contribute to this. There is a scene in the first episode where Jocelyn is getting her photo taken for her album cover, and she's in like a red silk robe, and it's like cut like this, and like her boobs come out of it, and the intimacy coordinator is like, oh hey, sorry, you can't show nipple, unfortunately, like it's within your contract that we're not allowed to have you do that for like your own protection. And they kind of twist it into this thing where it's like, oh fuck you, you're taking away her autonomy, you're taking away her sexuality and her choice, when she's saying it's okay that her nipple is showing. And because intimacy coordinators, their job exists for a reason, particularly because before they existed, like women are kind of subjected to do all these things on set. They need to feel protection, they need to feel safe on set, and intimacy coordinators provide that. So I guess if you don't know what an intimacy coordinator is, they are used to like choreograph sexually explicit content within shows. So I know for sure like Normal People had an intimacy coordinator. I know Young Royals had an intimacy coordinator, and I've only heard good things about having them and how it makes people feel better. They're implying on the set within The Idol that intimacy coordinators are ridiculous and that they're trapping women into not being able to express themselves sexually, when it's like, that's literally not the case. It's like, if Jocelyn would have felt that way, she could have put that in her contract and she could have easily done anything she wanted. If there wasn't an intimacy coordinator and Jocelyn did not feel safe, then there would have been like little she could have done in this room full of people telling her what to do. It's also like really like interesting that this came up because Sam Levinson, the director of the show, is known for having a lot of nudity within his shows. Sydney Sweeney has talked about how Sam Levinson, there were some scenes where she was like showing her boobs where she didn't feel like it was necessary, and now Sam was okay taking them out and like not making her be nude in them. It's interesting to point out that those scenes existed with nudity before anyone came up and said something, because not everyone's going to feel comfortable saying that they're not comfortable. This is like, again, kind of different from my whole overall point, but something I feel should be acknowledged is the lack of agency that certain people within the show are given. There is a trans woman, and she is a writer for Vanity Fair, and I'm going to tell you the actress's name because I don't want to forget. I believe it's pronounced Harry Neff, and she part of the cast, so she's not one of the main ones, but she's in it a lot. But I just want to say, like, even with her being in it, she's kind of like not doing a lot. Like, she's talking a little bit, but she's mostly like just sitting around and then like writing a little bit. And then people call her in and they're like, oh, actually, you need to change your story. So then she changes her story, and then she writes it a little bit, and then she gets called in, and then she changes her story. So it's like, she's in it, and it just kind of feels like, I just wish they would have given her more to do, I guess. The same can be said about minority characters within this. So Diane, who's played by Jenny Ruby Jane. So Jenny is in Blackpink, which I like Blackpink. They're very good. And I'm not even just saying that. People have said that she's in it to like appease the K-pop stans, but she's really good in it. She can dance super well, but she's barely in it. Her whole storyline could so easily be cut and it wouldn't really change that much. So I wish they would have given her more to do as well, because I think she could have like handled it and done well with it. So the last thing I just want to talk about is Lily Rose Depp specifically. Okay, there's been like backlash about the show for before it even came out, because it premiered at Can. Love you, Can. And people didn't really like that Can. It's also pretty, like, shows aren't normally premiered at Can, so it was, like, relatively unique. People just don't like the show. Like, it's very, I haven't actually heard anyone say they liked it. I haven't heard Lily Rose Depp say anything negative about it, though. So everything she's done, she's posted a few times on Instagram, has said that she loved working with Sam, she loved working with Abel, she had a really good time on the show, and she felt great. Which I hope that is true. I hope she did have a good time on the show, because the alternative is kind of grim. I think it's been interesting that she hasn't like said anything, but I was thinking about it, and this kind of what prompted this video a little bit, was I was thinking, if I was Lily Rose Depp, like, what would I do in this situation? And I kind of think there's no good way she could condemn what happened, because, like, and again, this is like, I'm not saying she feels this way at all. I'm just saying this could be a possibility, but again, like, I don't know why I have this fear that, like, Lily Rose Depp is gonna watch this video and get mad at me, but I just have this, like, fear. My camera stopped recording in that, which is very interesting because of what I was saying, but I guess I'm just gonna rate so that I don't fuck this up. But in my notes I put, she's very naked for all of the show. It would be pretty demeaning and scary if you later thought that you may have been taken advantage of. I guess that's kind of what I'm saying, is I would feel like slightly like maybe I was taken advantage of by being, like, see, I don't want to say exposing my body, because Lily Rose Depp is clearly very beautiful and very comfortable in her body, so I don't want to paint her being nude as, like, this negative thing, because it's not. It's totally not. But I just think it's a vulnerable thing, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's, like, very vulnerable, and I would have a hard time saying, oh, I didn't like doing that show, or I felt like shit doing that show, or I understand your response as being negative, when I was that vulnerable, is what I'm trying to say. So, but maybe she's not feeling that way again. Like, I don't want to project onto her. And on top of that, if she shows being upset, like, I can't imagine there being a lot of good repercussions from her doing that, because, like, HBO probably would get kind of mad at her. Sam Levinson, who is kind of HBO's, like, child, would get mad at her, and it might, like, swindle her opportunities to work when she's still a very young actress. And it might, like, paint her as, like, someone who isn't going to stick up for their team when things don't go as planned. So I just want to say that Lily Rose Depp maybe deserves a little bit of grace, and, like, just think about what you would do in her perspective. But, like, again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she does love the show and she loved her time there and everything. That's kind of just what I wanted to say. I'm hoping that I'll get this out on Saturday. There's just, yeah, a few things I wanted to talk about because it's such a relevant show, and I personally love HBO Max shows, or HBO shows in general. I think they're, like, some of the best shows, and I'm also a fan of Euphoria, so just please let me know your thoughts on The Idol or on any of the things I said, because people are totally entitled to their own opinions. So thank you for watching. I will see you in my next video. I have a little bit of a reading vlog coming up that's already filmed. I just gotta edit it. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Mwah, 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 mwah. Bye.